have help in the house and you're mad because I could have put the sippy cup up? Yo, ask maid number 4 to put the sippy cup up. Yo, what's that nigga from Batman called? Alfred? Ask Alfred to put the sippy cup inside of the goddamn washing machine. What am I doing? It's already clean. Tell him to put it in. Welcome back to the Stanley channel, man. Today we got a fire video from the one, the only, the homie. It's gonna be me. It's gonna be no chat. It's gonna be Yo-Yo in the back. He's probably gonna get clapped. And we are reacting to a video from ohmeezyy. This might be the most ungrateful wife ever. I've seen a little bit of this on TikTok and I scrolled right past it because I don't like when people don't value their significant others, and that's what it was given. So let's get into it. No cap.
Almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I've been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago,
20 years, we gotta clap it up for that. Let's just clap it up for 20. Most niggas don't even make it to 20. My parents made it to 28. Come on! Y'all niggas don't know nothing about that 2-parent household shit, nigga. Lame ass nigga, where your dad at? Where your dad at specifically? Lame ass, ugly ass, goofy ass, ugly ass nigga. No cap, man. Hey, man. 28 years strong, too. Strong, too. 28 years. I think they just went on a date yesterday. You could never fuck, nigga.
Strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore.
So this content creator right now is going viral because she's telling her story about how she had to tell her husband to participate more in the household chores in order to basically not divorce him. He's a perfect guy on paper, but she's just as miserable or living the same reality as most American women out there. Which, might I add, most American women aren't even married, but let's hear her out.
About 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do.
Now what she's saying is true, and it's mostly because of how we are socialized as young men and young women, girls and boys in today's society. My problem with this conversation though is that people don't have conversations before they have kids. What do the new roles look like? What do the new responsibilities look like? Let's put systems in place so that after I do have these children, I'm not drowned by a bunch of housework. Now the reason why they don't have those conversations is because a lot of people don't plan to have kids. They're just laying up having raw, you know, intercourse. But ultimately, a lot of the burden can be lifted from these people, I feel, if they have a conversation before they start to have kids. But
Agreed.
okay, we're here now. You want to do
that's definitely one of the problems. But like they said, they're on their 3rd kid. So in my mind, obviously, I don't think having a kid is a one-to-one thing. The way you raise the last one is obviously not how you're going to raise the next one. But even if you do plan it, there is things that you just can't quantify for, account for, things of that nature. But so far, I don't necessarily think that she did anything bad yet. You're having a problem. You asked your husband to step up. So far in what's going on, I'm not seeing where the divorce happened. He also responded like, okay, just tell me, which I feel like is very valid. Like, if you need help, I'm a shoulder you could lean on, just holler. You know what I'm saying? So far, no problems for me, man.
More participate in the household, you know, divide the domestic labor more. Let's see exactly what that domestic labor is before we go to the divorce conversation.
And there was this one morning where I woke up and I went to put something in the trash and it was overflowing. And I went to get my son's water bottle and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me.
You don't think that's making a mountain out of a molehill? Like, the dish was actually clean in and of itself. The trash can may be its own separate conversation. Look, he may have forgotten. There could have been a bunch of different things that went on. And I know this wasn't your potential first time doing it, but I can't excuse the trash can. I will acknowledge that. The sippy.
I want to give her grace, but since we're talking about a very finite situation, I really have to take her words for it. You didn't say this was a multi-time occurrence. This sounded like a very one-off thing. The way that you explained it, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, man. I ain't gonna lie, but it sounds like you kind of wildin', shorty. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit of Karen's popping up. We need some more information. I'm not gonna cap. But to me, right here, I don't think that this is the thing that you crash out over. If anything, this feels like an amalgamation of other things and you're using this moment to crash out, which is still not the best way to confront your partner, if you ask me.
Being in the sink with other clean dishes, meaning that it's clean, means that you're just overreacting because it wasn't in the specific sippy cup cupboard that's in your household. You don't think that you're being a little excessive when you say that he doesn't see you because the sippy cup isn't in the sippy cup drawer? I feel like she's intentionally
doesn't see you is insane.
Trying to make some sort of drama or beef or whatever and putting 5 on the conversation as opposed to actually having a conversation with her husband.
Right.
This is a really dramatic breakdown of a lapse in one day's daily task. Hell, let's even say it wasn't a lapse in the daily task for that one day. Let's say it was 2 or 3 days. The sippy cup meaning he does not see you in a relationship where he still provides, protects, kisses on you, is apparently the perfect husband there for your children, is a crazy way to make a mountain out of a molehill.
But we've been raised in this society that tells men and women who they should be in marriages and what it looks like to be a good mom versus a good dad. And we know the bar for moms is way up here and the bar for dads is way down here. And we fell into these norms. We fell into these roles.
I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that's wherever you want to hold the value of what the activities each person and individual is doing. But that's you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, because if you putting your life on the line to make sure everybody survives, aside from your health and mental health and all that down here, I think that's a crazy place to put it. But that's not to compare it to whatever you're going through. I just don't think that's a down here activity to willingly get shot for another individual if the circumstance comes to it. You get what I'm saying? I just would never put that down here, but I see what you're saying though. I see
in our family.
I'm kind of seeing a little bit of your personality through how you're talking about this.
Like the fact that we never wanted to. And I'm lucky, and I say lucky because I have a partner who I know loves me and wants me to be happy and was willing and able to change. And so we did the work to figure out what equity looked like in our relationship. And I can
off rip, I know we're already moving on, but that already heightens where she was saying the bar for a good husband is at.
Tell you now, 3 years later, that we are happier than ever. Our kids are thriving. Our home runs like a well-oiled machine. And that took a lot of work. I want to say it took like 18 months to get there.
Maybe it's the man in me coming out, but these seem to be unrealistic household standards for a family, point blank, period. I would never want my household to be run like a well-oiled machine. It's supposed to have a bunch of different flaws. There's supposed to be things that get dropped. People pick up things in different areas. You know, we find a remedy for certain things. But as I scroll on this woman's page, she is the perfectionist type mom that literally has a sippy cup drawer. If she thinks the bar for being a good mom versus being a good dad is so disproportionately off, which I don't agree with at all, I suggest that she not be a mom. I know it's too late now, but just be by yourself. The narrative that she's trying to paint is that in her household, there isn't enough equity when it comes to the domestic labor. But from that conversation, you can't just take a singular screenshot of a situation and try to blast your husband online, which I think is a weird conversation.
My biggest problem with whenever conversations start steering this way between what you have to do in a household and how heavy that task is to uphold a family and what your significant other has to do away from that household is the problem with that, in my eyes, is the fact that when you're talking about your circumstance, you're willing to dive really deep into detail about what's going on inside the household. Like, it's not just cleaning and it's not just cooking food. You got to go to the grocery store. You got to pick the groceries, load them, unload them. You got to take care of the kids' laundry, spread the back from white, put the right amount of. But whenever it's like you explain the guy's portion or the other significant other's portion, it's like you just go to work and you come home. And I feel like the lack of being able to actually explain those intricacies is the problem, and the lack of you being able to see that perspective on his end is also the problem. Now, I'm not saying what she does isn't hard or whatever the case may be. It's just I feel like that's a really normal thing that happens in these arguments, where you look at your situation, you as in the girl, and you put it under a really condensed and understanding frame while zooming out as far as possible from the other person's side point of view from it.
Anyway, instead of blasting your husband, you know, have conversation with your husband.
Right.
Now, they ultimately did, but damn, this is kind of embarrassing bringing this personal, intimate details to the internet. But because you took it there, we'll take it further and tell the full story as to what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If my wife ever did this, I'm contemplating divorce. Not because inherently what she did is the worst thing in the world. I don't mind you being able to go to somewhere and talk about your story. It's more so if you had like a situation like this and you brought it to social media, me and you would be very different as human beings on what we understood to be like the way that we want to live our lives. Not necessarily that was the worst thing in the world. It's just I wouldn't ever want to live my life underneath that bubble or scope or something like that. Yeah.
Her husband is one of those utility linemen, you know, the people that climb up those big poles, go to the transformers and fix the power lines. You know, the ones that work 60 hours a week, are on call, you know, have to work super overtime for storm duty. This is a physically demanding and laborious job. Those men. And she's a work from home mom. Like, she literally does her job from her household. And not invalidating the work that she does at all, but I would think that she would have just a little bit more capacity and a little bit more bandwidth than somebody leaving the house to take on more household responsibilities and chores, especially because she is a perfectionist to where the clean dishes in the sink aren't good enough for her. I would think that she would just, you know, go the little extra mile to be able to put those dishes up. What I also found funny scrolling through some of the comments on this video and some of the other videos, because this thing has gone totally viral, is that she is upset because she has more mental load and doesn't have the time to be the mother that she can be. But instead of, you know, putting some things down, readjusting her life or whatever the case may be, she's decided to make content about how bad it is to be a mother. It almost seems like you're hurting yourself just a little bit here.
And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive, he's kind, he's loyal, he's a great dad, he's very hands-on, he's an active participant, he's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women.
Paige Connell is her name and grifting is her game. I took one look at this lady's LinkedIn, and the reality of the situation is she's not saying the reality of the situation. She's a very accomplished woman, don't get me wrong, but she's not your average person. She doesn't
she's confusing me. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes the paper is actually what's real, because you're telling me in reality, but you're not bringing me any of the things in reality. Like, if I'm doing something right, if I'm doing, everything right, in your words, perfect on paper, and somehow it's translating to not perfect, I actually think that has more to do with what you're measuring with. Because if anybody could look at what I'm doing as objectively the right thing, but you're looking at it wrong, I actually do think that gives some validity for me to be like, you're not understanding how this is supposed to work. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like that's an okay conclusion to come to.
Live the average experience. Hell, she's married, so that already puts her out of the average category. But now, as I looked at her LinkedIn and see that she's not only self-employed, but even in her previous work, she is a high earner, it already makes me think that Miss Turner is telling some sort of lies. But then I dug deeper. Not only is she a six-figure earner, not only is her husband a six-figure earner, they also have nannies, housekeepers, pool boys, the whole shebang-a-bang. So she literally has help in her house.
Wait, you have help in the house and you're mad because I could have put the sippy cup up? Yo, ask maid number 4 to put the sippy cup up. Yo, what's that nigga from Batman called? Alfred? Ask Alfred to put the sippy cup inside of the goddamn washing machine. What am I doing? It's already clean. Tell him to put it in. You're telling me that we work enough so that I could afford to put that in there, and I'm getting text about it instead of you texting customer service? That doesn't seem like my problem, bro. If anything, it sounds like I wanted the game for me to not have to face with those problems, bro. Nah, that's crazy. I'm not gonna lie, bro. That's crazy.
Household, and has had help in her household. So why the hell would she be selling this tale or spinning these lies about her not having the help in the household and how her husband needs to step up because she's feeling totally burnt out?
Right.
Because she has products to sell. She's got consultations to push. She's got weight to move in the form of bookings or interviews, etc., etc., because she is a content creator. It's so bad that she's even willing to contradict herself and her own talking points about mental load and domestic labor in her own videos. Now, don't get me wrong. I think she's having a valid conversation that actually plagues people's marriages. But when given the opportunity to give some sort of middle ground or propose a real solution, when a man talks about the mental load that he has in the household, she totally invalidates him, contradicting her videos about why she deserves validation in her own mental load conversation.
So in a home, men might own things like the lawn or the cars or random things that break, whereas women own the monotonous, everyday, never-ending tasks like cooking, cleaning, and laundry. And
see, this is what I'm saying, bro. Do you see how she's delivering the side that she was arguing for versus the side that she's not arguing for? It's a very like Android iPhone-esque argument, like, oh, this is your old phone, boring, plain. But with the new iPhone, you'll be able to, it's like that is what I'm saying. It's like the extra delve into detail, the extra words that actually like create some like friction in your mind when you say monotonous, boring, but you give like the guide cool aspects of it to make it seem like it's all enjoyment on their end when that's not the case. But just that is such a common thing online to happen to how people explain their situations. They try to make the other side seem like it's some kind of like win. It's a win that they have over them, and that the side that they're arguing from is like the worst thing that it could possibly be, instead of presenting it both the same way and letting the person listening decide. It's a weird thing to do, man.
Is every day, like the lawn or the cars or random things that break. Whereas women own the monotonous, everyday, never-ending tasks like cooking, cleaning, and laundry. And what happens is,
boy, if I had to go mow the lawn right now, if I had to go change the brake pads on a tire, oh my gosh, if I had to do those things, it would suck. But she's making it sound like it's the most, like, yo, owning a car in the lawn, it's fire. Like, no, it's not, bro. It's not always cool, bro. Same way, like, not doing laundry and not doing other things is always cool. It's not always cool, man. Or same way that doing laundry and other things like that aren't always cool, bro.
Tasks they can do alone, by themselves, with no kids around them, that happen infrequently, right? You're not mowing the lawn every single day, and mowing the lawn typically doesn't take a lot of mental energy. You're not having to think about much more than, are the blades sharpened? Do we have gas? And is the grass wet, right? And if all those things are good, you're off. You're off to the races. You spend an hour by yourself with a podcast in your ears and you mow the lawn. Whereas women are often expected to do the things that are truly never ending. You cook breakfast. You clean up breakfast. The second breakfast is done, snack time. You make snacks. You clean up snacks. Lunchtime, right? It is never ending. And
the argument right there for some people, and not even to, like, I'm not trying to pick apart this lady's argument. I'm trying to bring equality to her argument. And the reason I am is just to show that we're not as on unequal footing as you may think. Because for her, what she's saying is the fact that her things happen daily versus as the guy's thing, it's not daily. And then also the guy's thing is something where he could be alone doing it and it's not as mentally taxing, versus the girl's thing where it could be a mentally taxing and it's never completely alone. The thing is, some people might argue on the other side of it because A, not all men are the same, and B, they would actually might like the things that you have. For example, a guy might actually prefer having scheduled tasks to complete every single day than running into errands that aren't a daily occurrence, and every single thing that they do could only take them out of the pattern of their day-to-day. For example, she might have to clean the laundry every day, but once a month, the gutters might have got full, and now the husband has to go on top of the roof and clean the gutters out, and it's gonna take him 3 hours before he can actually come back down and enjoy the rest of his day. You get what I'm saying? And he wasn't able to plan that. And you're saying the mental load might not be that much, but to him, that might have been everything. That one day where he could have took off, he had to go up there and clean the gutters or whatever and fix and take the leaves and throw them away and make sure everything looks nice or whatever the case may be. That mental load, you don't get to decide what mental load affects somebody and how much it affects someone. If I drop my phone from the table like that and I'm like, oh my gosh, that ruined my day, you don't get to decide if that ruined my day or not. You get what I'm saying? You can't measure somebody's mental load at all. That's not for you to measure. You can never feel how they feel. So that's what I'm saying, is like the way that she's presenting this argument is really showing of her character. I'm sorry for yapping. I know.
Between all of that, you're thinking about the food you've run out of, you're updating the grocery list, you're keeping track of what your kids like and what they don't like. That is the difference. The tasks that men typically own happen infrequently and don't take a lot of mental energy, whereas the ones women
don't get to decide that. And some people might actually love to have frequency instead of sporadicness. That's a real thing.
Women do take a ton of mental energy and are never ending. And this is the thing, a lot of women will come to their partners and they will say, hey, this doesn't feel fair. We need to talk about this. And men will get really defensive and they'll say, I'm doing a lot. I mow the lawn, I do all the manual labor.
All this to say, I'm not disagreeing with her. I'm just trying to make her argument fall on more fair surfaces. Because I will say, if you're doing something forever, it's not crazy to be like, yo, this is old. I actually would like help on this so I could try other things in life. That's not crazy to say.
And here's the thing, I think it is really important for men to know, women can do all of this stuff.
What she's saying is like low-key harmful rhetoric. It's never good to invalidate your partner. So in this same conversation where it's okay to invalidate.
That's exactly what I was getting at. She's invalidating her partner's experiences in order to uplift her experiences to show that she's going through something more negative than the other. That's so perfect. Thank you, Omar.
invalidate what the man is doing, she's also saying that it's not okay to invalidate what the woman is doing because she's doing more of the day-to-day. Look, we already can't relate because my mom wasn't giving us breakfast and then snack time. You got a pancake and sausage on a stick out of the freezer and put it in the microwave.
Right.
And then if you wanted a snack, there were fruit snacks in the pantry. And hell, that's if we had that much food to be eaten in a day, because you should be outside running around. But one thing I've learned in my relationship is never to invalidate my partner by putting basically comparisons on the task that you have to do versus what they have to do. If somebody's asking you something and you say that you're busy, but it's a task that needs to be done, that's a form of invalidation. You don't want to say that you're so busy that you can't do it because your partner is also busy. But her saying essentially that, you know, the chores and tasks that you have are so easy because I can do them totally puts what she's saying at mute for me, because who's to say that the men can't be doing the same things that you're doing? It's just not to the level that you want, and that's okay. But I promise you, the level that you want comes with a level of perfectionism that doesn't necessarily have to be had. Preparing snacks, dog, give them gummies. You're talking about what you do is on a day-to-day basis, but you're cooking and cleaning and doing laundry on a day-to-day basis because you want to, not because it needs to be done as a necessity. Who the hell is doing laundry on a day-to-day basis in their household?
Nobody.
4 kids are not. 6 people are not. Laundry on a daily basis is not a daily task. Hell, cooking is not a daily task. Make that big pot of spaghetti and keep it moving. Cleaning is not a daily task either. Now, people want to have their house a certain way. Discipline them kids.
That's why you have a designated cleaning day. That's why you have leftovers. Get that meatloaf reheated. That's why you sometimes let them run around with that same clothes a couple times. You know, outside of boxers, shoot, boxers flip them inside out once or twice. Nah, I'm joking. Don't do that. But genuinely though, like, there is ways outside of blaming your husband for you to not do things every single day. Coming from a 2-parent household, both of my parents worked all the time. They obviously had systems, yes, but life is too expansive for you to rely on a system. It's gonna fall apart. And as people, you change literally every week, day, month, year. You get what I'm saying? And in that time period, you just find things to work and you understand that perfectionism is stupid. Nothing will be perfect in this life. And the one time something was perfect, we killed that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Perfectionism is not something to chase or achieve, bro. It's something that you know is there and you ignore it because it's just as dumb as believing in Santa and stuff like that. At this point, bro, it's not something real, bro. You just try to do your best and then you make it work when it falls short, bro. No cap.
Now, people want to have their house a certain way. Discipline them kids to that house is a certain standard that they need to maintain on a day-to-day basis. When they're younger, that's fine, but your house can be dirtier. It should be afforded the dirtiness because there is children in the house. But you putting this own mental anguish on yourself should not be then used to invalidate the man when he is coming to you with some sort of rhetoric about, well, I have my own mental load.
One of the major concerns that I see from women is that they say, I don't get enough help from around the house. They feel like they're doing a million things and he's only sitting there on the couch and doing nothing. In my own experience, today, for instance, I turned to my husband and I said, I'm doing the laundry, I'm reorganizing the kitchen, I'm always cooking and cleaning, you could at least help me with the dishes. And he turned to me and he said, I just got done cleaning out the entire garage. I just got done cutting the yard. I just filled your gas tank. Did you notice any of those things? As women, we focus on our world only. We don't see the other side. We don't see that he is taking care of
Which has pretty much been my arguing point literally this whole video. That's literally just been my arguing point this whole video. Because I'm not even trying to disprove if the shorty's husband deserved to get divorced or not. It's just the shorty that was being presented was very, very one side leaning. It didn't even seem like she was trying to be understanding. I'm not gonna lie.
Things that we don't even need to think about that's making our life easier.
I just think that invalidating your partner is counterproductive. Okay. Now, naturally, because she has a product to sell, Paige doesn't have any good alternatives to give.
Hey, if you guys enjoyed that video, man, and you love your significant other, or you're going to love your significant other in the future, make sure you like, comment, subscribe down below. Check out me and Yo-Yo's collab channel called SXY, but type in StanXYoyo to find it. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye. Peace.